Hi there. How are you all doing? I hope everyone are doing fine. We had a nice vacation. I, Nagarjun BM and Monish S are about to explain pulse code modulation and its applications.
Before moving on to the theory part of the pulse code modulation, let us have a look at the simulation of the pulse code modulation. I have been using a software known as the Simulink. I have already specified the components that I will be requiring from the library browser. I have been using a sine wave, that is analog input. I will be using a sample and a hold block that receives the input from the sine wave and upon the particular trigger, and that will hold the input and pass on to the uniform encoder upon the next particular trigger. I will be using a uniform encoder which transfers the sample quantized waveform into words, that is the zeros and ones. I will be using this integer to bit converter and bit to integer converter. As you know that integer to bit and bit to integer converter is used because output of the encoder is in the form of words, that is the digits. You need something that represents these digits in the form of electrical waveform. It will be in the form of a square wave, and I will be using a uniform decoder, convert the staircase function into a analog waveform. I will be using the Butterworth low pass analog filter design that is used to limit the bandwidth of the message signal to W hertz, and I will be using two sinks, that is the scope 1 and the scope. So this scope and scope 1 are nothing but sinks that is used to represent the output of a particular block at a particular simulation time. Scope will be representing sample and hold, this uniform encoder, integer to bit, and bit to integer converter, uniform decoder, and Butterworth will be displayed by the scope 1. And before moving on, you have to specify what are your inputs. Have been specified by 2 pi 2. Okay, you have to specify what are your inputs to each and every block. Okay, before moving on to the simulation, you have to save it and then you have to run it, and then you can see that there are two windows opened, and this is the sine wave, this is the pulse wave. Apart from this, we can easily analyze from another logic analyzer. Okay, now let us specify the number of plots. We need 2, and this is 3. Okay, now we have a sine wave, and then will be having a pulse generator. See what happens if I produce a pulse upon the sine wave. You can see that only half of the sine wave is covered with the pulse, and then you have your uniform encoder. This is the output of the encoder, and then we will be having a bit to integer converter. This is the output of the bit to integer converter, and then you will be converting it into a square wave, that is the integer to bit, and then you will be having, let us change the color of this. You have your bit to integer converter, you have your this, and then you have your final analog filter designs output. This is the analog output and the receiver. Thank you.
Hey, it's Nagarjun again. Have you ever wondered while browsing any content or working on computer or hearing to any music how the voice that is audio and video are visible in your screen?
Hey, we had a perfectly working good condition system, that is a continuous wave modulation system, in which the parameters of the carrier wave such as the amplitude, frequency and the phase was varied in accordance with the input signal, and the same modulated analog signal was transmitted over this channel. So why did the people go for digital transmission? However, it was not until the development of the solid state electronics, microelectronics and large scale integration in 1970s that gave the right capabilities to take advantage of a digital transmission in an efficient and an economical fashion. The very first step in this evolution from analog to digital transmission is the conversion of common information sources such as the voice and the music, which are inherently analog in nature, into a digital representation. This analog to digital conversion and the representation of analog information as a sequence of pulses was the main agenda of digital transmission or the pulse modulation. However, the people came to realize its good sides. That is, relatively inexpensive digital circuitry may be used extensively in the system. Digital information can be encrypted for security and coded against errors and compressed to reduce storage and transmission costs, meaning it was very much pocket friendly. The possibility of a uniform format for different kinds of pulses was also there, another agenda. The noise performance of the digital system can be superior to that of an analog communication system. However, the only disadvantage regarding our topic, that is the pulse code modulation, was that it had a very much wider bandwidth than the corresponding analog signal. Pulse code modulation is nothing but a technique for rounding off amplitudes of a samples of an analog waveform. This is the second of the two operations required to change an analog signal into a digital signal. The rounding off operation is known as quantization. Once each sample value is rounded off to an appropriate quantization level, we need to transfer only enough information so that the receiver knows which level is being sent. The various levels are binary coded. This is done in the encoding stage. In practice, the sampling, quantizing and encoding are performed in a single device known as analog to digital converter. This is the block diagram of pulse code modulation. The incoming message signal is passed through a low pass filter to remove unwanted high frequency components present in it, thus making the signal G of t strictly band limited to WHz. The signal G of t is then sampled using a train of rectangular pulses having a width that tends to 0. Thus we do a near ideal sampling. Sampling frequency chosen is greater than 2W. Normally we sample at a rate at 2.2W, known as the engineer's sampling rate. A quantizer rounds off these sample values to a discrete value in a set of L quantization level. The resulting quantized sample GQ of n years are discrete in time by the virtue of sampling and discrete in amplitude by the virtue of quantizing. Graphically, quantizing process means that a straight line representing the relation between the input and the output of a linear continuous system is replaced by a staircase characteristic. You can see one such characteristics in the graph. The peak-to-peak value of G of n years is subdivided into a finite set of decision levels that are assigned to the rises of the staircase. The quantized value GQ of n years are selected from a finite set of representation levels or quantization levels corresponding to the treads of the staircase waveform. Coming to the encoding, an encoder translates a quantized sample into a digital code words. As you know, binary consists of 0 and 1. Each word, digital word, consists of n bits. You know that digits are just abstraction. We need a way to describe a message information in the form of an electrical waveform. That is the binary digits into an electrical waveform. The two important representation of binary digits by electrical waveform are non-return to 0 unipolar and non-return to 0 polar. The primary reason for going digital is the ease at which the digital signals can be regenerated compared to the analog signal. The shape of the pulse is affected mainly by two mechanisms. One is the unwanted electrical noise and other disturbances, and the second one is the non-ideal transfer function of the transmission medium. During the time of the propagation, a pulse can surely be identified and made to have a regeneration. The circuit that perform regenerations at different intervals along the communication route are known as regenerative repeaters. Regenerative repeaters consist of three blocks: amplifier, equalizer, a timing circuit, and a decision making device. The function of the amplifier is to shape the received pulses and compensate the effects of amplitude and phase distortion. The output of amplifier is also given to a timing circuit which produces a train of pulses known as a sampling waveform. Using the sampling waveform, the output of amplifier is sampled at different sampling instant. If the sampled value is greater than the present threshold value, the decision making device is enabled. Thus, for example, in a PCM system using a non-return to 0 unipolar signaling, the decision making device takes a decision in every bit interval as to whether or not the pulse is present. If the decision is yes, the new pulse is sent to the next repeater. If the decision is no, there is no pulse sent. Thank you. Next stage is the decoding. The output of a decoder is a staircase approximate of G of t, similar to flat top sampling, except the sample values have been quantized. In other words, the output of a decoder is a waveform GQ of t. The final operation in the receiver is to recover the analog signal. This is done by the reconstruction. This is accomplished by passing GQ of t through a low pass filter whose cutoff frequency is equal to the message bandwidth W. Low pass filtering then eliminates step variation in GQ of t and produces a smooth output signal G dash of t, which differs from the message signal G of t to the extent that the quantized sample differ from the exact sample values, that is a G of NTS. A perfect message reconstruction is hence impossible in PCM. even when the channel noise is absent. The sampling, quantization and encoding introduces permanent errors that appear at the receiver as quantization noise in the reconstructed message signal. You can see the decoded signal and the reconstruction signal in the figure shown. One of the best uses of the PCM is the digital telephone. The earliest end-to-end analog telephone networks to be modified and upgraded to transmission networks with digital signal 1 carrier system date back to the early 1960s. They were designed to support the basic 3 kHz voice channel by sampling the bandwidth limited analog voice signal and encoding using pulse code modulation. Early PCM codec filters were implemented as passive resistor, capacitor and inductive filter circuits with analog to digital conversion for digitizing voice and digital to analog conversion for reconstruction of voice, handled by the discrete device. Early digital telephony was impractical due to low performance and high cost of early PCM codec filters.
Quantization and its types. Quantization is the process of mapping continuous amplitude, that is analog signal, into discrete amplitude, that is digital signal. The analog signal is quantized into countable and discrete levels known as quantization levels, and each of these levels represent a fixed input amplitude as shown in the figure. During quantization, the input amplitude is rounded off to the nearest quantized level. This rounding off is known as quantization error, and it can be reduced by increasing the number of quantization levels. Let us consider an example. The figure represents an analog signal. During quantization, the analog signal's amplitude is sampled and discretized into quantization levels. In this example, we have used 8 quantization levels. The quantization results in loss of information. The space between two adjacent levels is known as step size, and its formula can be given as step size equals to V reference by number of levels, where V reference represents the maximum amplitude being represented. If the step size is larger, then the quantization error will be high. In other words, the loss of information goes higher as the step size gets bigger. Now let us have a look at types of quantization. The first type is uniform quantization. The type of quantization in which quantized levels are uniformly spaced is known as uniform quantization. In this, each step size represents a constant amount of analog amplitude and it remains constant throughout the signal. The figure on the left gives an example of uniform quantization. In this, the space between any two adjacent step or levels represents 1 volt of amplitude, which is uniform and constant throughout the signal. The second type is non-uniform quantization. The type of quantization in which the space between the quantized levels is non-uniform and has logarithmic relation is called non-uniform quantization. In this, the analog signal is first passed through a compressor. The compressor applies a logarithmic function on input signal. The input signal has a high difference between its low and high amplitude. In the output signal, the low amplitudes get amplified and high amplitude levels get attenuated, thus making a compressed signal. Let us consider an example. Suppose the input signal's amplitude is M and MP is the peak amplitude of the signal, Y is the output of the signal, then the compression graph looks like the below figure. As you can see from the graph that the small input levels delta M are mapped onto the bigger output levels delta Y, and the higher input levels are mapped onto the smaller output levels. There are two types of uniform quantization. They are mid-rise type and mid-tread type. The following figure represents the two types of uniform quantization. On the left is the mid-tread type and is so called because the origin lies in the middle of the tread of the staircase-like graph. The quantization levels in this type are odd in number. On the right is the mid-rise type and is so called because the origin lies in the middle of the rising part of staircase-like graph. The quantization levels in this type are even in number. Both the mid-rise and mid-tread type of uniform quantizers are symmetric about the origin. There are two laws for compression. First one is mu law. Mu law is compression algorithm used for non-uniform quantization. The expression of mu law is y equals 1 by ln of 1 plus mu into ln of 1 plus mu m by mp, where m by mp lies between 0 to 1. where mu is the compression parameter and m is the input amplitude and mp is the peak amplitude of the input signal. When mu equals 0, then there is no compression and quantization becomes uniform. The characteristic graph for mu law is given below. This graph shows that if the compression parameter mu is high, then the input signal is more and more compressed. Second law is A law. A law is another algorithm for compression of an analog signal for non-uniform quantization. The expression for A law is y equals A by 1 plus ln of A into m by mp, where m by mp lies between 0 to 1 by A. Second is 1 by 1 plus ln of A into 1 plus ln of A m by mp, where m by mp lies between 1 by A and 1, where A is the compression parameter. When A equals 1, then quantization is uniform because there is no compression. The characteristic graph is given below. This graph shows that if the compression parameter A is higher, then the input signal is more compressed.
Applications of quantization. The process of converting a design for embedded hardware needs to take the quantization errors into account. Quantization errors affect signal processing, wireless, control systems, FPGA, ASIC, SoC, deep learning, and other applications. The first application we have taken is quantization in signal processing and wireless applications. In signal processing applications, quantization errors contribute to noise and degrade the signal-to-noise ratio. The SNR is measured in decibels or dB and is generally described as X decibel reduction for each additional bit. In order to manage quantization noise and keep it at an acceptable level, you need to choose the right settings such as the data types and rounding modes. The next application is quantization in control systems. When designing control systems, particularly for low power microcontrollers, you can use integer or fixed point arithmetic to balance real-time performance requirements with the low power constraints. In such designs, you need to choose data types that accommodate the dynamic range and precision of the signals coming from input sensors, while meeting the precision requirements for the output signals, all without running into numerical differences due to quantization. Next application is quantization in FPGA, ASIC and SoC development. Converting a design from floating point to fixed point can help minimize power and resource consumption by reducing the FPGA resource utilization, lowering the power consumption, meeting latency requirements, or any other. However, this conversion introduces quantization errors. So, you must budget the quantization noise appropriately when converting your designs. The next application is quantization in deep learning. Quantization has become important for optimizing your deep learning models, as it helps accelerate inference when deploying to embedded systems. You can use mixed precision interface using 8-bit integers, and there is ongoing academic research exploring 4-bit and 6-bit integers for quantization.
Hi, myself Mani Krishna. I am going to explain the SDMA. SDMA is nothing but a space division multiple access. It is one of the multiple access techniques. What we'll do with the SDMA is for allocating and separating this space to user in the wireless network. Since the categorization we have to the provide interference limited environment or interference free environment for the user and who want to transmit their information to the common medium. The SDMA serves a different user by the using the spot beam antennas. Means it is what we have seeing in the last figure, that is the instead of the having a one isotopic antenna, they will having the multiple direction antennas. Most covering is called the spot beam. A typical application is involved with the assigning an optimal base station to the mobile phone users. Yes. So this particular figure is showing in the example for your spectrum and antenna considers a primitive application of the SDMA. So obviously we assign the it's a specific spectral antennas to individual user to the they communicate with the help of the base function. Although they have the expecting the same and time and the same frequency bands, but still since they are distance apart, our signal will not overlap to the each other. That is how we are limiting in the interface. In future adaptive in future adaptive in antenna simulate simultaneously steer energy in the direction of the many users. We talk about the adaptive antennas. So why the adaptive antennas means the antenna should be the state to the modified there the covering that are depending upon the requirement post their users. Typically SDMA is never used in the isolation, but always in the combination with the one of the more other schemes such as the FDMA, TDMA or CDMA. This is the block diagram of SDMA. It consists of the two signals, that is the downlink and uplink. Downlink working upon the two users, the smart antenna is operating is a active mode, a nulls placing in the radiation pattern to of the other mobile user. The interface signal one of the mobile user to the minimized. The uplink, the smart antenna array is operating in the passive mode, and the electromagnetic signals induce a current on the array element from the mobile users. What are the major problems of SDMA? The reversal link presenting the difficulty in the cellular system, different propagation path in the exist from the user of the base station, and the dynamic control the transmitting the power from the user to the base station is required, and the transmitted power is limited to battery consumption and subscriber unit, which limits the degree of which power may be controlled on the reverse link. Solution on SDMA. The possible solution is the baseband. The base station should be used as special filter to the user. The adaptive antenna promise to the mitigate or reverse link problems. In the limited case of the infinite symbol, beam width and infinitely fast track the ability, adaptive antennas can be implement optimal SDMA. There be the provide a unique channel that is a free interference. With the help of the adaptive antenna system, user communicate at the same time using the same channel, and can be track all the individual multiple component of the all users. The advantages of SDMA: increases the capacity and speed of system, increase the transmission quality by the focusing the signal and narrow transmission beams, the free from the interference. All user can be communicate at the same time using the same channel. Two different signal can be used this same frequency. The narrow beam and narrow beam width also allows greater gain and clarity. It minimizes the system cost. The disadvantages of SDMA: high intensity losses because the input have the capability to split into the any output. Infinitely large antenna needed and are very expensive, and is complicated to the construct and design. And if we will going to the take the comparison between the parameters, obviously signal quality will be get affected. These are the disadvantages of SDMA. Thank you.